Hi everyone, so today is probably a final read on calebharis. It's not actually a read, but I just wanted to bring something to our, maybe a point of reflection. So with my readings, whether you're actually interested in the subject line or not, I would say it's always worth checking in on the thing, okay? Because I bring facts along with the psychic channeling and the psychic abilities, and I'll try and add clips on the end of this. I was going to try and add it in the middle, but I am pushed for time. I don't want to stop the camera, it's kind of fussing around, so I'll try and add a little bit of clips, but I am going to link the first read, which I did, and the sort of key question read. I only did one read. In that read, I was a bit upset, to be honest with you, because I knew justice was going to be very difficult. If justice is, I don't think full justice was ever going to come through. And I pointed out for a fair amount of justice to come through, a top-notch lawyer, investigator would really need to be hired to get the main person accountable, but as well, like a third person lurking in the background that could be a higher up, could be have or is working for law enforcement. Disclaimer, this is allegedly my opinion. It's not based on facts. Use your own fact-finding discernment, and everyone's innocent until proven guilty. I also felt like Caleb was a very good-hearted person at heart, right? I think since my reading, and the other thing that I was, although I only did one reading, every reading, because it wasn't getting the coverage that I felt it deserved, readings that I did on other topics after it, I would say, please check out the calebharis reading or any calebharis information that you see from the people you like or stuff, back it up, but at least put an emoji, at least do something, because this is going to be one where there's going to be a struggle for media coverage, there's going to be a struggle for justice, and I found that really, really upsetting. So you might have been on a different read of a different case where I've mentioned calebharis, and I mentioned it quite a few times. I might have done it even in a community post, although I just recently cleared some of the community posts out that are kind of like just updates. So I pose a question to you. Do you think he fell in this sort of manhole that they found him in? Or was there foul play? If you're not sure, you can go check the reading out and the second sort of key question. So those two things in terms of justice not being given, the potentiality of that, in terms of, I did think they would find his body. I felt like it's going to take some time. But in terms of the other thing that I mentioned is that I knew someone wouldn't be brought to justice who was kind of the stalker in the read. I don't remember everything that I channeled, but this stalker higher up kind of person always stuck in my mind because they were kind of side-eyeing. And the other reason is the media coverage that this really needed. When I did the reading, there was nothing really out there. There might have been a few crime podcasters that had done something, and it might be similar to the next read I'm going to do on a missing teen, but I'm not sure by the time I get around to it if there's going to be a bit more news around it. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to recap on the story as per this story, not necessarily my read, but the story itself. My read does actually have a bit of the time frames. I can't remember if I was guessing some of the time frames. I think I mentioned some of the time frames, like he was out walking this puppy, etc. Whatever it is, someone knows more that could lead to kind of cracking the case. And I think I mentioned in the first read that this could be, it could have been a potential love interest. Remember, I did this read over, I don't know the exact date, but it was over 3 months ago. So when a reading is passed by a month on YouTube, yes, you can find the exact date, but it will show you done 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. So if I've done it 3 months and 27 days, it will show only 3 months until it surpasses the 4th month, if you understand what I mean. Those two things really upset me, especially about the justice. And I remember exactly mentioning, because I remember seeing here that really my advice was to get a very strong lawyer. And in this read, I'm just going to get final messages to see what else wants to come through. Maybe it might change. Often it doesn't do that, but maybe there's something additional. And suddenly Spirit wants to say it's an accident, which I don't believe it is. Let's just recap on Calebharis. I wonder if he was a Pisces, by the way. So here, Calebharis, 21-year-old student at Texas A&M University, Corpus Christi. So I don't know anything about this location, but I remember someone saying like there's water near here, there is a bridgeway, when I was trying to think about like areas. And please remember, I would have been possibly one of the first to do the readings before all, you know how more and more information starts to get out there. And I also believed, although there was a lot of fog, that there would be something else coming through. I didn't know if I said surveillance or phone or something like that. Over 3 months later, authorities said, so this article is the latest, 19th of July, okay. Over 3 months later, authorities said that human remains were discovered in a wastewater well near his apartment. The following month, officials announced that the remains had been identified. As his family said, they all have heavy hearts. Authorities believe Harris might have fallen into an open manhole. Deputy Chief Billy told the news his exact manner and cause of death is still unknown. I'm going to continue to read this, and then I'm going to say something else I want to share with you. The death of Calebharis, who went missing over 4 months ago, was confirmed on July 17th by authorities after human remains were identified as belonging to the 21-year-old college student. While the announcement has been provided some closure to his family, many questions remain unanswered. From what his cause of death is to how his remains ended up in a wastewater well. He was last seen in the early morning hours of March 4th near his apartment complex near Texas A&M University Corpus Christi campus. His disappearance resulted in an exhaustive months-long search. In late June, authorities found human remains at a lift station. I also know in my reading I said he's not far, like don't think he's in another state, because I think they were thinking they needed to track down, because there's a main road. I think they were thinking, could he be in another state as well? Nearly a month later, they were able to confirm the remains were his, although the investigation remains ongoing and a final autopsy report from the medical examiner's office has yet to be released. Here's everything we know so far. What happened to the moments leading up to it? According to Corpus Christi Police Department, based on interviews with the family, friends, and a review of the surveillance footage, Harris spent the evening of March 3rd at his off-campus apartment on the 1900 block of Enos Jocelyn Road with his roommates and a mutual friend. Later, at 12:56 a.m. on March 4th, the doorbell camera from a nearby apartment captured Harris, one of his roommates, and a mutual friend hanging out in the parking lot playing with a puppy belonging to the girlfriend of one of Harris's roommates. They all returned to the apartment. Around 2:20 a.m., after which the mutual friend left, one of his two roommates decided to go to bed. Harris said he was staying up in order to order food via Uber Eats. This food, which came out later that he wanted to order, was actually because the next day he was going fishing. Now, Monday was the next day, so maybe there was a holiday, because I remember my first reading, I was thinking it's quite late for him to be awake when it's going to be a Monday, but what's come out is he was going fishing the next day. I don't know if it was after uni or uni was on leave. Corpus Christi police added that around 2:44 a.m. Harris shared a Snapchat video with his younger sister, that showed him walking the puppy through what appears to be the complex parking lot. Then around 3:03 a.m. he shared a Snapchat photo with a friend of a dismal bridge within a few hundred feet of the entrance to his apartment. This links him to the second key question that I did, which was a follow-up 2-minute read, basically just a snap of this question. So that I will link that as well. Just to let you know, all these kind of readings, unless it's a case that has 3 or more readings, it will have its separate folder. Otherwise, it's in the psychic predictions, channeling, crime, celebrity, energy readings. Okay, the other playlists are all your tarot sign readings, all signs, pick a cards, astrology as well. And I used to do them very regularly. I don't think many people are as interested in this kind of psychic readings. And so I've made this more the priority, if you like for me to say. So the boy's father, Randy Harris, previously told ABC affiliate Kill TV that his son didn't have his wallet or identification on him, and his keys were still in his apartment. By the way, I feel like Caleb is quite close to his mum. I'm not sure. His dad also told NBC, that's me stating that, that's not the news article. His dad also told NBC affiliate WOIA that shortly before his disappearance, his son messaged him about his imminent plans. He texted me about different fishing laws and stuff, YouTube stuff that you know he's looking forward to going for fishing the next day. There we go. That's Randy said, his father. Per police, at about 3:20 a.m., the Uber Eats delivery delivered Harris's order at the apartment, leaving it outside the front door as requested. Almost 7 hours later, one of his roommates found the Uber Eats outside the door, saw that the truck was parked outside the apartment. Alarmed, the roommates contacted the police. The initial responding officer, after having obtained the information from the roommates, immediately checked all local hospitals of any unidentified patients matching Caleb's description. The police statement continued, none were found. A preliminary search of the apartment complex and immediate area surrounding it revealed no signs of a struggle or violence, nor identification of a hit-and-run accident on the roads nearby. According to authorities, the Uber driver, who was eliminated as a suspect, told detectives that she drove alone that evening and did not see Harris or anyone else near the apartment complex. Uber later told People that the student's order was completed without any reported incident, and the delivery person continued to make additional deliveries that morning. Additionally, police said his laptop was turned over to authorities for examination, and that his family and friends have cooperated with investigators. Detectives, through a variety of investigative techniques, have excluded them as having anything to do with Caleb's disappearance, they said. What led to his remains being found? This is where I wanted to share, this is where God steps in. This is where God steps in, and a storm led to calebharris's shoulder, I think, joint was blocking, and the water was, I believe, coming up. We're going to read it. But what do you think of that? God wants to put, whatever. Now, Caleb's body is deteriorated, advanced deterioration, and I presume there's just partial bones. I don't know if this article is going to cover what's there. Well, but it looks like the matter and the cause of death will remain unknown. That is really, really sad. And I was picking it up in my first read. But I was also picking up about the justice, which, in fact, if you can't, you know, one of the things, if justice along the way doesn't come into play, if you can't determine a matter or cause, justice is very difficult to be had. And that's why in that reading, I was really, really upset, really sad. I think I might mention this reading. I feel upset in this reading. And let's continue, and I'm going to go back to how the universe or God steps in. The higher power, just in case you don't believe in God, a higher power steps in when justice in some form is needed, basically for a soul to rest, and also the heartache of a family to 4 months later to be at rest. So over 3 months passed before Harris' remains were found by a city employee at a wastewater collection point described as a wet well measuring 40 feet deep. That is deep. Jeez. That is deep. Police told people that the investigation was extensive and frustrating. We put together a team of very experienced investigators, said the deputy chief of Corpus Christi Police Department. We had what we would consider good leads of some vehicles coming and going from the area. They never materialized. It was so frustrating. Over the course of the search, CCPD, which is Corpus Christi Police Department, conducted an executive search of hundreds of acres surrounding Harris's apartment complex. In all, officials said the investigative team executed over 50 digital search warrants, submitted 82 preservation requests, and analysed over 1,500 Great Britain. I think it's because I had to deal with some currency. So GB of data. Breedlove, which is that Deputy Sheriff Billy Breedlove, shared that the local community was also very involved with all the volunteers. They were calling in with over 200 tips. In fact, the investigator said that one of the tips police received was about an open manhole located in a field about 600 feet from where Harris last Snapchatted the video that was filmed, and they now believe how the student entered the sewer system in the first place. However, at the time, remember, go back to my reads because this is key. I think a lot of people didn't believe what I mentioned about the second read. However, at the time they received, and there's not many views, received a tip on the 18th of April. Their efforts turned up with no information. When they went to the location and drained the manhole, there was no indication of a body. And when they went to the lift station, where his body was eventually found, there was also nothing at that time. On June the 24th, after Tropical Storm Alberto hit, employees at the lift station notified authorities that a sewage pump set off an alarm which indicated something was jammed in the pipe. When they opened it, the deputy chief said the employees found what happened to be a human bone, which we now know is one of the shoulder bones. The investigators said they believe Harris' body, which had been in the pipe, was pushed into the lift station because of the water accumulation as a result of the storm. Can you see what I mean about the universe and God steps in? They checked it. And this is also what I mean with like the Jay Slater case. You can go around an area and you can miss little things. So, you know, because a lot of people was like, how can he have been missed like 4 months later? Well, I believe 4 weeks later. With my readings, it's 3 weeks later. But in that sort of area that they checked, I mentioned from the very start that drones was not going to be effective with how he was a bit hidden. Forget how he got there, right? Let's go back to Caleb. Don't forget to support this reading. If you check out the other readings, please do like, support, put an emoji. Now, the other thing is that, just before I forget, recently I found a relative checkout of one of my readings and they put a comment. Not a bad comment, it was just kind of defending one of their relatives. So we never know who is going to check out the reading. So for me, it's really getting a message out to the family to see what, it might be a bit difficult now, but to see what they can do to get justice. Because in my opinion, there was foul play, and those people need to be brought to justice. One person, one smug person is going to get away with it. However, they do believe Spirit's just saying they might end up getting caught if they do something else, but it might not always be addressing, you know, the justice of Caleb, but it'll be an indirect justice, whether it's enough justice. But what I mean is we never know who turns on the reading. I mean, I wish the channel was a lot larger, at least 100k, because I think, you know, there's a lot of value in my readings, and if this is not recording, I'll have a heart attack. It is, and I probably just ruined the focus. Let's just check a minute, sorry. Because when I do the cards, okay. There were 4 other manholes. However, they do believe that the open manhole in the field, which measured 25 inches wide and 15 feet deep, was the point of access into the sewer system. He also told authorities he still don't know how it happened. It's possible he was harmed, then put there, or it could be a fall. So, you know, they're open-minded towards it, but I mean, this far in the thing, unless they find a weapon or something put in there, or something that's not deteriorated. There are over 4 manholes in the roadway, and we cannot rule out that he entered the system in one of those, but is more likely to have entered through the open hole. He said nothing that the police are uncertain is that there was water in the manhole on the night of Harris's disappearance. While it's unclear how he entered, I did that little puff not out of annoyance, but just the justice that, you know, I wish this case had more coverage and justice. It's unclear how he entered the manhole, but the deputy chief said that its cover had been knocked aside, but that most people walking by wouldn't have noticed, as it's a sort of camouflaged by the high grass. Additionally, the night that Harris went missing, obviously there's a lot of fog, is probably one of the foggiest nights we had. How did he die? On Friday the 19th of July, police say that the exact details of the student's death remain unknown. There's a chance they always will. You see what I mean? The cause and manner of death is undetermined currently. We don't believe that will change. Breed Love, the deputy chief, told people in a news outlet on Friday the 19th. It is possible he fell. Investigators added, while going on to say that if it was also possible he was already deceased, then placed in the opening of the manhole. While previously speaking with people and the news outlet, the deputy chief explained that while Harris's remains show no signs of homicide, authorities are not eliminating the possibility of foul play. We just don't have enough information, one way or another. At the time as his remains were finally found, police said that because they were in an advanced state of decomposition, the medical examiner couldn't make an identification or find a cause of death at the time. As a result, the remains were sent to UNTCHI for examination, along with DNA samples from his parents. Following the identification, the remains will be returned to the medical examiner's office, which will subsequently issue a final autopsy report. So that's still to come out. Throughout this search, Harris, the college student's family, spoke out a number of times, both to share that they knew and pray for his safe return. We encourage you to keep social media positive. This was his parents that wrote that on the April 26th. It was 8 weeks after he went missing. This is our son, and we're making decisions based on our faith and what is best for our family. We repeatedly cry out to God for him to come home safely. God answered their prayers in terms at least putting their heartbreak, this is me adding that, heartbreak to rest of, that. Let me come back to that. The following month, his mother, Becky Harris, shared that she still had hope her son would be found. And until then, the family plan our summer and wait for him to join us. The GoFundMe was established on behalf of his family, which has gone to raise nearly $72,000. So that's less than Jay Slater's GoFundMe, and we're talking about 4 months over time, and you can see why they probably would need it. I mean, in the meantime, I think they should have got someone in place, a private investigator or someone if they could have. On the day announced that his remains had been identified, his mother said the family had all heavy hearts. We will grieve our son. Thank you for your prayers and support during this tragic time. So what comes next? The deputy chief told the news outlet and that police, like the Corpus Christi community, have really hoped that they would find Harris and return to his family. Instead, they were left with a different type of closure for the family. Although they may not have all the answers, they continue to investigate what we can amid the ongoing investigation. Basically, that's nothing because they don't have anything, right? So, I mean, they just need tips. So this is what I'm going to try to add in this reading. For any tips, okay, if you're tuning into this, you call the Corpus Christi Police Department, Criminal Investigation Division, or Crime Stoppers, and I'll add those numbers. I'm sure you're aware of them. I'll try and add those numbers in, or take a screenshot of this and add it in. So imagine, this is why I said if you're not really if you're only watching the readings for the subjects that you enjoy. Let me just make sure the camera didn't click off. I know I'm being a pain, but okay. This is actually about just bringing us into reflection. Imagine a relative of yours, and this would be very hard on me, and I want to know how you all feel. A relative of yours has been missing 4 months, and I think it wouldn't have been a long time after his disappearance if it's not done more or less in a few days or similar date. Your loved one has been in a sewer, has deteriorated, and we don't know how many bones, but they've got a shoulder bone, that's what we know. Remains, maybe some other, but then they can't say we just have one shoulder bone. They could only have that. And that's what you need to bury your loved one. Whilst, God has answered some prayer, just imagine how haunting it is to know that. For me, I believe there was foul play and there was a crime committed. But even if it's an accident or foul play, there's barely anything of your loved one, and they've been in a sewer for nearly 4 months. Like the way they've gone, if there was foul play and then left in a sewer deteriorate, a sewer, the most dirty kind of thing. It's hard. It's very hard. And my thoughts go out to him, his family. obviously the physical body, we leave it, but it's not easy. What are you thinking? What are your thoughts? Any final messages from Spirit on this case, calebharis's case? Please support this reading. If you want any of my services, such as energy healing, energy cleansing, clearing, energy readings, tarot readings, coaching, most of my services are written in my bio on the YouTube page. You can check that out, and you can email me. You can support the channel by donating via PayPal. You can support the channel by subscribing, so that as we get more subscribers, it starts to make sense for me to dedicate as much time as I can to the channel, because otherwise it doesn't. And then after a period of time, if there is some kind of income that comes in, it makes sense, doesn't it? It will never be enough to, I can't say that because I think people do make it, but you understand what I'm saying? Constant 3 output where we need a cost to cover our living cost means that I should try to dedicate it to somewhere where there is something that's going to help me, for example, balance my living costs. At the same time of this purpose of trying to help, one is a voice of truth, and that will always be my purpose, a voice for the voiceless, and also empowering yourselves. So that's why with this, I'm bringing you that thought of, hang on a minute, have we thought of how the family feel on this for a moment? This case didn't get nearly a quarter of Jay Slater's media coverage. But when we think of it, and I'm not trying to compare, think of the storyline of Caleb's and the storyline of Jay's. And even in Jay's, there's more likely to be a bit more justice. It all depends on what the parents do now. In calebharis, I don't know where they can start right now. I feel like it needed a little bit more along the beginning, but I presume they looked to surveillance. They tried their best. But imagine having a remaining bone and then that your loved one was in a sewer. And people are getting away with it. And if you believe it is accident, I'd like for you to share your views. This channel is about being able to sit at the same table, have different views. I have multiple chairs at this table, and anyone can sit at this table, but as long as we respect each other and we can try and see the other side. Sometimes we're so, and not in a bad way, but we're like, no, I can see your side, but this is my opinion. That's totally fine, but we respect each other and how we're doing it. And that's what this channel is about, because I will not always be able to see something from everyone's perspective. And we learn things. And to me, this case, I think I'd be crying day and night if this was my loved one, that even foul play has occurred to this person, but let's say an accident. Well, then to live in a sewer for 4 months. It's difficult, but God, this is that person. This is the person, but it was a different deck in that reading that I said was behind the stalking. If you go back, I was going to say, was it the Hierophant? I think it was the Emperor. To my first reading. And there's a tower here. So let's continue. Let's just make sure I've covered everything I wanted to say. Yeah, so you can support the channel by subscribing so you don't miss any content. Notifications on if you want them on. If you've got anxiety, you might not want them on. Liking, subscribing, commenting, sharing. Please don't come on the channel, and this is probably for non-subscribers, put someone else's channel's name on my channel, which is already a small channel, for me to go check out someone else's channel. And then the matter of cause. The matter and the cause of death is probably going to remain unknown. You can also support via the super thanks, the PayPal on the videos you like, letting me know. Oh, I've got an update for you. Who's watched the Madalina Kojakari reading? Let me know as well in the comments. I have an update for you on that if it's not already posted on the community post. I was going to add it yesterday, and this was actually going to be a community post, but I decided to do it like this, and I hope it gets a fair decent of views, although, you know, I didn't think it would be my top viewing content of what I want to do. So, you know, in the first reading, I believe that he was taken in a car and it's still showing up. I think he was then dumped in this area on purpose because it shows like it could be an accident, right? Here we've got a tower moment that, I just want to pull something. It showed me the Temperance card. Patience is needed for that tower moment to come through, for a recognition of the completion of his life. Okay. Communication is what broke this case, which we know because communication was that person who said about the blockage and called the police. It brought the recognition and the completion of the chapter. We've got the Nine of Wands here in reverse. We've got the Chariot and the Ten of Swords. Okay, and it's really interesting that we've got this. Knight of Wands here. All right, because there was a reckless energy here from the person. This can also be, in terms of Caleb himself, really, you know, I said that yes, I remember this. Caleb was held for a bit of time. I remember, because I was thinking he is shocked that no one has found him so far. But I think when I was doing the reading, I can't remember if it was too late or coming up to being too late. And he was shocked that no one found him because he wasn't that far. He wasn't that far. And here we've got where he was feeling really giving up. He was really in despair and just feeling like he was giving up on everything. The car here, in terms of things moving forward, and then obviously the unaliving that happened in terms of his case. Now, I do want to pull a clarifier for the Six of Wands, although I believe it ties in. There's a separate message that wants to be channeled. But in this case, it's kind of tying in with that communication that came through to break the case, and the recognition of the person who communicated that to break the case, to bring this chapter to a close where there's been a lot of despair. Yes. Okay, so I've got that. That's the additional channeling, not just in terms of Caleb's despair, but in terms of despair for the family as well. And because he was trapped in that sewer, in that piping, for the case of him to move forward and closure. Page of Cups in reverse. I think he was a bit too trusting on something, a little bit too naive that evening. And we have the Devil around this situation where he probably, I believe I mentioned he'd popped back out, he'd seen something, he popped back out. This is the energy he was faced with. And I remember in the first read, I'm sure I got this for those people. Two people, and the third person is this smug person. Someone, either he dated maybe someone whose father is this, someone who was separately stalking him, who would not have been really upset or not upset if he got into this situation of his case at all. Told to look at the bottom of the deck, the Queen of Wands. Queen of Cups. So someone, I mean, that's kind of confirming. I mentioned about the female energy in that read, I think. 9 of Pentacles. So let's just get a clarification of the 9 of Pentacles. Temperance card fell out, Sagittarius again. Temperance. And it's the 8 of Pentacles. This is where I said justice and a lawyer. Patience was needed to crack the case. And I'm going to take the one on the floor because I've asked for a certain card. Yeah. There could be a possibility for justice if they get the right lawyer who's really, really dedicated, patient, and working on the case diligently. Someone who is extremely smart. Okay. This 3 of Cups means nothing. This is just kind of like, I think this is the card that I got last time. I'm tuning into, I think this is the person that I got last time, you know, where I said the Emperor. I asked for this card to give me a sign if they got the really astute criminal investigative lawyer, could there be a breakthrough of some form of justice? The answer is yes. Okay. I just want to ask here, because this deck, when I was preparing, it's like Caleb asked for this deck. So I just want to ask and see if he's got any final messages for us. I wish I could show you this wick. It's just a wick that's black because it's the same candle when I did Jay Slater's healing and there was a heart that was lit up. Just to show you that that prayer and healing was received and the miracle of how spirit can show through. Two of Swords, Ten of Wands, Ten of Pentacles. Knight of Wands. Did I mention anything about a reward at the time that would have been a good idea in my first reading? Those of you that have seen it, I think that could have been something that could have helped at the time. I think I did mention it. It's coming through again. Caleb also recognizes as maybe where he was a bit in and out of maybe the dating scene here. He was definitely at some kind of crossroad or difficult decision that was kind of like a heavy burden to him. And it could be around finances. It seems like people found him attractive and were really attracted to him. I don't know why he's telling me this. The secret around the person that was involved, which I believe is two people, okay? And then there's that third at the back. Yeah. That, you know, has really put a dent in terms of the healing that can happen now. You know, obviously there's not much of a body to be buried, and the loss of faith that occurred in this situation. I think it's mainly around his mum that lost a lot of faith. She'd lost a lot of faith, and the secret around what actually occurred, you can see it clearly, is still a secret. It's not known, and anything he was doing or crossroads he was at in his life, no one really knew. He carried it at his own, which a lot of people at that age or teens, you know, you tend to keep it to yourself. I'm going to split the deck. Oh, I've got Justice as well. Really needing someone who's powerful. I can't believe, look at all these major arcanas. Powerful to really change this situation around, like the lawyer. Someone who's passionate in crime, someone who's passionate about winning cases, someone who's top-notch in their field, and they can turn this situation around to bring it justice in terms of the matter of his death. That's his final message. If you enjoyed this, please do give it a like, drop an emoji, comment, subscribe, super thanks, whatever you want to do. And let me know that you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think of this case. Is it an accident? Is it foul play? Let me know if you've seen the reading one, the bullet point question. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one, folks. Bye for now.